Welcome to Voices of the Plaza, the podcast, hosted by Peggy MacArthur. This is where we amplify stories of empowerment, innovation, and success from the heart of the Global Business Plaza. Each week, Peggy introduces us to one of the creative business people, entrepreneurs, and industry experts who are shaping their fields and redefining success. Together, we'll explore unique journeys, highlight remarkable expertise, and uncover the inspiration behind their success.
Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to be joined with Kimmy. Kimmy, introduce yourself and tell us what you do, and then I'm going to ask you some more questions.
My name's Kimmy Avery, and I'm a relationship coach. I help men and women to understand each other better so that they can get out of their ego, instinctual minds, and spend more time experiencing love and joy and happiness, which is really, really difficult in our instinctual world. So we misunderstand each other, we get upset, we're cranky, we're not happy, and we slowly fall out of the tree of love, and I help you stay on the top.
Awesome. So tell us, most people that do things, there's things that have happened in their life that have led them to finding their little zone of genius. So tell us a story how you began this journey.
So I was 36 years old, and I had been to not one, but two weddings of men I was deeply in love with, and I watched them marry other women. And I was really confused and really hurt and had no idea what was going on and what was wrong with me. And then I started studying with a woman named Alison Armstrong, who has a company called PAX, which stands for Partnership, Adoration, and Ecstasy Between Men and Women. And the first day of the training, I learned that men are driven and compelled to provide and protect for the people that they claim are theirs. And I like to depict it as a commitment circle. And I became licensed to do her work with my clients because all I could see after that, my life coaching work that I'd been doing became relationship coaching work because all I could see was the patterns of the masculine and dynamic playing out. And I'd spent a ton of time in masculine mode. I was self-sufficient. I didn't need anybody. If a guy said to me when we were dating, I need you, I said, no, you don't need me. Nobody needs anybody. And then they'd go off and marry somebody else. And I was like, what is wrong? And then I learned that they want to take care of you. They want to commit to you if they can participate in contributing to you. So shortly after I started studying this, I met and married my husband. And we've been together 19 years now. And I can guarantee I would not be married if I did not know what I know. We also call it the cheapest facelift in town. Because I spend a lot more time happy than miserable.
Right. And your face looks better when you smile.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm determined. I'm going to get smile lines, not frown lines.
Yeah. And, your health and like everything is, the less stress you have, the more healthier you are all the way around. So
100%. Yeah.
So so you were doing coaching before.
Yeah. I started studying neurolinguistic programming in 95, and I became an NLP master practitioner and trainer. So I help people to use their brains better to get better results in their life. And I'd been doing that for a long time. So about 10 years before all of a sudden I drew a heart on a flip chart and I was like, you're dating and relationship success. And now I don't call it that because that's really long. But I finally had the courage to brand myself. So I'm Kimmy Avery Relationship Coach. That's my business name. I have a domain, kimmyavery.com. And now, of course, my Global Business Plaza.
Yes. So tell us a time where I like the story how you like, hey, I'm tired of like feeling like I'm failing at this thing. So let me figure out what, the next step. But was it like instant? Like you were like, this is what I'm going to do. Like, the life coach is just like instant. There was no like, I wonder if. It was like, this is my new calling in life.
So the first day of that workshop, I've taken tons of workshops with her, and I'm licensed with her now. But the first day I went up to the trainer and I said, I want to do what you do. It had completely rewritten my history with my father, who we had clashed over and over and over again. And I saw immediately all the ways that he was providing and protecting me that I thought were controlling. I thought he didn't think I was smart, but he was trying to help me. And I kept shutting him down over and over again. And I started learning this when I was living with my dad during graduate school. The person he had fought with the most in his entire life, me, he invited me to live in his 2-bedroom house so I could go to graduate school. Within the first 3 hours, we were fighting, and I thought, oh my God, I sold my house to come live with my dad. What is wrong with me? And so I learned that men are single focused. They're not sometimes single focused. They're always single focused. So given that he'd offered me a place to live, I thought I should cook him dinner. So I'd walk up to his desk and I'd say, hey, Dad, what do you want for dinner? And he'd be typing something and he'd jump out of his skin. And I'd say, Dad, why do you hate me so much? Of course, we had a miserable evening. Then I learned that we are always interrupting a man. Not sometimes. We are always interrupting a single focused human being. So I'd walk up to his desk and I'd say, hey, Dad, and I'd wait. And he'd turn around after typing something and he'd say, yes, Kimberly? And I said, what would you like for dinner? And he'd say, how about spaghetti? And I'd cook spaghetti. We'd have a beautiful meal. And I was listening. I learned how to not interrupt him. And immediately our relationship changed. Immediately. And so when I started seeing those patterns and things that I could do to better my relationships, I felt empowered because I'd read self-help book after self-help book. And none of that makes it work unless you understand this piece. So, for instance, nonviolent communication, people who practice that, that's great. But I've had those people come to me to understand the masculine and feminine, and then everything with nonviolent communication works.
Very cool. Very cool. So, your relationship with your father, obviously a new relationship with a man that you've been married to for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So aside from that, have you seen, what other aspects of your life have you seen a difference in?
Oh, well, I'm happier. I'm more relaxed because I know how to ask for what I need from my husband. I know how to ask for it from other people. Women tend to talk about a problem. Honey, I need to talk to you. And we tell them all about the problem, but we don't give them action items of what we actually need. So I spend just about every coaching session I ever have with a woman on reminding her how to say, honey, there's something I need to talk to you about. Don't worry, you're not in trouble. When would be a good time? And then waiting, zipping it up, waiting until talk time comes. And when talk time comes, he's single focused. Honey, okay, I'm here. What do you need? And learning how to say, I really appreciate you. And with the assumption that he just doesn't know what you need. You say, there's something I need that I don't think you know about. And it's this, and it would make me happy and it would provide for me. And is there anything you need for me to make that happen? And he's like, Like when I asked my husband to open the door when we go on dates. Seems like a little thing. And because I teach this stuff, I thought, I better, actually apply it. So I said, I need this. It would make me happy. It would make me feel like a woman. It makes me feel like I'm special to you. And I said, what do you need for me to make that happen? He says, tell me if we're on a date. So when we get to the front door, he says, are we on a date? And I say, yes or no. If it's yes, he opens every door. And if I say no, we run to the car, we run to Home Depot or wherever we're going, and it's not a big deal. Like I am a pretty independent woman. I went to girls' boarding school and women's college. I am super independent. And that was why nobody opened the door for me. but also I learned how to ask for something I needed, and it changed everything.
So, were you doing this coaching virtually always? Have you always done a virtual coaching, or were you?
I started virtually coaching before 2010, but we went on our honeymoon to Thailand, and I stayed 3 extra weeks so that which was actually really cute, because I've traveled a lot in my life. My father was a pilot. I could get an airline ticket, just like nothing. I could go anywhere. And my husband was going to go back earlier because he had to work. And he said, well, he rented me an apartment for the next 3 weeks. He taught me how to ride a motorcycle so I could get around. He found a friend for me in the building that I was moving into and introduced me to Susie. And then he paid for my yoga so I could stay and do my yoga there. And I could have done all those things. Like, I'm really capable, but I allowed him to do it. And the rest is history. But also, I was working on Skype at the time, and I was part of the reason I was staying 3 extra weeks to see if I could make a business virtually, and it worked great.
Awesome. So I'm assuming you went from Skype to eventually Zoom, and now you're on GoBrunch. So
now I'm on GoBrunch. Yes.
So tell me about your experience on GoBrunch. Like, how do people interact? How is the experience coaching on GoBrunch different?
Well, you've got this pretty background that helps, right? So I mean, I have a Victorian room. I think I probably spent some time in a past life in a Victorian room. I like flowers. It's beautiful. So that makes me happy. And I design rooms specific for my clients' needs and their desires. So one of my clients loves to ride motorcycles solo through the countryside. So I have a scene of a little country house and the sunset and this country road, or beach scenes, just relaxing environments. So I try to find out that, and then I create the room for them. So that's fun. The technology was a little tricky at first. And I've got a client right now who's 92 years old who he can do it. So it's not that hard.
Right. No.
And I love that there's one link. So I make my client room. I did finally start using the Zoom personal link so that anybody could come in, but there's always the risk that somebody else could go into that room, at any time. So with the Zoom, that everybody has their own link for their sessions with me.
Mm. You mean on GoBrunch?
Yeah, on GoBrunch.
Yeah.
And so I designed their own room. They've got their own link. And nobody else will have that link unless they give it to them.
G's in the audience. Say hi.
Hi, G.
She's having fun listening to us.
Yeah. My 92-year-old client, he knows, like, he can click the link. It's always the same. Mm-hmm. Easy.
Super, super easy, because you don't have to where'd that link go? What's the link this week? You've got a place to go. And I find personally that people tend to be more relaxed and less fatigued, that the fatigue that you get when you're doing virtual calls. I think because you can create an environment, not just it's a natural environment, not just boxes of video.
The only tricky thing is that, so my couches are on the bottom and then, the windows on top. But if people's videos are on the couches, I'm looking down all the time. So I move all my bubbles to the top. So everybody's floating in the room rather than sitting on the couch. But it allows people to see the room and enjoy it. And it allows me to place my visitors, my clients, under the camera. So they get the experience of eye contact.
Yeah. Eye contact is really important.
So important.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. So what is the thing once you switch? Because you're fairly new to GoBrunch.
I think it's
And
been about 8 months or so.
yeah. So once you kind of switch to GoBrunch, then you immediately you were one of the first people to join the Global Business Plaza. And
Yeah.
so how have you seen things change that maybe surprised you or you didn't expect?
Oh boy. Well, I think it's more streamlined. I mean, there are just things that aren't happening that maybe were before, where there would, I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint it, but it's just smoother.
Smoother.
And I do like the fact that, although it's slightly irritating too, because it'll cover the windows on my computer, but I like the fact that if I leave this tab and the tab's open and I click on something else, the video's down below so I can find it again.
Yeah.
That was one of the tricky things, that it was hard to get back to the actual link. And we use it for our mastermind group. So, I'm looking at the top and I've got a million tabs open because I'm not a single focused human being. I have diffuse awareness, which means I pour into every direction, and I will forget something if I don't have the tab open. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to look at that the Vento video thing that Peggy sent me. It's there, I can see it. So I like that it's easy to get back to that window.
So your clients, have they been giving you feedback since you've switched? How do they feel? Are they like, ooh, this is nice?
I don't, nobody said I don't like video. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of Zoom fatigue. Like, nobody's saying that kind of thing, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
like they're not enjoying it. They're just not saying what they don't like about it, which
Yeah,
is huge. That's probably because of the nice environment.
exactly. And
Yeah.
a lot of times, no news is good news because
Yeah,
if people are
exactly.
unhappy, they will let you know. And a lot of times when people are happy, they don't bother to tell you.
They don't tell you.
Even like when we post things, like I get this all the time. I post, and I think nobody's even listening or watching my things or reading my things. And then, weeks later, somebody will say, "Oh, I just love blah, blah, blah." I'm like, so you do read it.
Right, right.
Oh, okay. So, a lot of times not getting feedback is the positive feedback that we need.
Well, it's actually interesting. I'm going to tie that back to relationships for a
Yeah,
second.
right?
So I've got a whole module in my relationship navigation system, from criticism to appreciation. Relationships that last will have 5 positives to every negative thing. Relationships that fail have 5 negatives to every positive things. We tend to point out what we don't like instead of highlighting what we do.
Mhm.
And if we turn around and start, like if we were to message Richard and say, hey, we're loving this feature, or we're doing this, like that would inspire him to do better, to do more. And he's Richard is one of the owners of GoBrunch, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I'm just telling our audience that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but
He's the founder
he's
of GoBrunch.
accessible, and he's very attuned to trying to make this platform really user friendly. So complaining, not so great. Hey, I'd love to see this feature. Can we add that? Would be really wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So tell us what is next for you? Do you have any big exciting plans coming up? Do you have any events or anything? How can
So
people find you?
um, well, how can people find me? Well, they can, if they want to speak to me about their relationships, they can go to meetwithkimi, KIMI.com. They can go there and they can schedule a 30-minute consultation with me. In terms of what's big for my business, I'm offering a monthly program, or it's not a program exactly, but a monthly conversation about relationships called the Relationship Cafe. It's on the second Saturday of the month at noon Pacific, and that's on the Luma calendar. My plan is to have that available for people At this point, it isn't, there's no fee. And I'm looking at how to do a pay, like a donation type thing, because I want to be of service to people. Not everybody can afford my services, but the work that I do transforms people's relationships. It, like I said, it makes everything you've ever worked on with the self-help stuff work. And so I want people to have it. And the Relationship Cafe is a great way to have conversations about what's going on. And what I do is I have people type in what their relationship issue or challenge question is. And then I look at what people are saying, and then I weave a topic based on that, and give examples and support people in applying some of the material I teach so that they can see improvement right away. And then, of course, I've got a relationship starter kit that includes all my programs, a program about communication, a program about navigating relationships, and a program about finding clarity in your relationship. Are we the right ones for each other? Have we gone down this path for a while? We're fighting, things are bad. Is there a foundation to save our relationship with? If so, then we work on forgiveness and healing. And if not, then we work on undoing the relationship. I'm not attached to people staying together. I'm really attached to people having great relationships, especially for their children, because kids model what their parents do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you can also find Kimmy if you go to the globalbusinessplaza.com, and you'll find her because she has the flashiest thumbnail in the whole plaza. It is stained glass and it has her name, Kimmy Avery, right there on it. And it says relationship coach. So you can click on that and that's going to take you right to her room. You can find her in the directory that's going to take you to her profile, which is going to open up her whole world to you. So make sure that you hunt Kimmy down and say hi and see what all she's up to.
Yeah.
Do you have any final little thing you would like to leave our audience with?
So I have been dreaming about the idea of having a brick and mortar store where people can come and take workshops and people can do relationship coaching. And I couldn't get my head around, well, number one, the expense of doing something like that, but I just couldn't get my head around it completely. Although I had sort of this vision of it, that it would be a place to up-level your relationships. Well, the plaza and my GoBrunch store gives me that experience and gives people the experience. So I have like a conference room that's, of course, a Victorian era room. And I'm going to be teaching workshops there. I'm going to be, doing my relationship cafe there. And if you've thought about a brick and mortar store, but again, are sort of like me, that like, I can't see investing in this unless I know it's going to work. The investment was less to work with, so do GoBrunch, and way less to work with you, Peggy, with the networking events and the marketing experience. And like I signed up for the year, and I've got 2 marketing events or networking events per month, and then all kinds of so much other stuff that helps me to like stay on track and keep focused. So I would, if you join GoBrunch and you've got a vision like that, sure, you can just have a little coaching practice off on your own, but being part of the community with Peggy is amazing because Peggy's so knowledgeable. She brings in the best people to help you up-level your skills and especially in marketing. And I was trained as a coach. I help people have better lives. I have had years of marketing training, and all of it's coming together now that I'm working with Peggy and doing the program. So I would highly recommend that people do join the Plaza to get Peggy's experience, to be able to build something that's really the wave of the future, I think, in terms of virtual stores. It's like taking my website, kimmyavery.com, which is great. I love it. I spent a lot of time building it. and taking that and making it into a 3D experience with videos and interactive. I just love it. And I love what you do, Peggy. I feel really blessed to have been able to have found you. And it's not that I found you. My friend Deb Peretz, who has a business called Herbal Eclipse, which has astrologically based organic facial products. I mean, this is like amazing. But she found you, and then I've come along with Deb.
Well, I am glad that you and Deb both found me. And Deb's already been on the Voices of the Plaza, so they maybe have already heard that, or you can go back and listen to an old episode of the podcast and listen to her as well. Kimmy, I was expecting you to give us the last tip about your business, but thank you for the plug. I appreciate that. And I agree with you. I think everybody should be part of the Global Business Plaza because this is where all the cool kids hang out.
Well, so in terms of a tip about my business, I would say that men and women are so different, and we'd be better off if we actually spoke different languages, because then we wouldn't think we were communicating. And women tend to look at men as hairier, misbehaving versions of ourselves who are either not doing what we would do when we're upset or doing things we would never do when we're upset. So we're kind of chronically angry with men. And the masculine looks at the feminine as kind of smaller, emotionally indulgent versions of themselves who can't get to the point to save their lives. So I help kind of dispel that stuff and make sure that we can speak the language our partner speaks and be able to have that flexibility. So, like I said, I love my work. I love doing workshops. I love supporting people any way I can to have great relationships. And I do it in large part for the children, because when children are raised in loving homes, they grow up to be well-adjusted, loving people. And I thank you, G. Children do exactly what their parents do. And changing the way we interact, and I should say this, the masculine is the provider, protector, producer energy, and the feminine is the supporter, adapter, enhancer. We all have that within us, and then within each relationship. So back before I learned this, I was in masculine mode because I was a single woman providing and protecting me and my dogs and cats, because I had lots of critters. And I learned how to allow the masculine energy to contribute to me, which made me relax and allowed me to shine more than if I had been only in masculine mode, because we tend to, our adrenal glands get burnt out if we're in masculine mode. Masculine single focus comes from our testosterone, and we don't have as much. So it comes from our adrenal glands. And this is one reason why women have fertility issues, extreme burnout, starting when they're around 30 and into their 30s and 40s. So it's a real game changer to learn how to navigate this and do the dance of relationships in a beautiful way.
Thank you, Kimmy. And thank you guys for watching. And we will be back next week. So, Kimmy, thank you. Everybody go to the globalbusiness.com and check out Kimmy and say hi, and have an amazing week. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye, everybody.